Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're tying the FSB. It's a fly that I'm naming because no one seems to know what it's called. It comes from Russia originally. You can see in the top corner the original, which is a big 2-inch copper tube. This is the version that I think will work on our British waters for Atlantic salmon. Pretty cool looking fly. Let's get stuck right into it. Okay folks, so Partridge Patriot double size 8 in the vise, starting with some black Uni 80, couple of wraps down, get started, cutting that away, and then we're going to come in with a gold wire. This is going to form the tag and the rib on the fly. Just catching this on the top and then running this all the way down, and once we are happy where we've got this to, probably in line with the points of the hook, we're going to come down with 4 turns and then lock this in nice and tight up between the 2 hooks. Once you've locked this in, fold it back on itself, extra security and getting it in a good place to then be able to rib the fly when it becomes time to do so. Okay folks, so up first, coming in with the tailing fibres, which is bucktail, orange, yellow and pink. Certainly less pink than the orange and yellow, so use it sparingly. Just catching this on the top just now, couple of turns. Quite a long tail on this. I would certainly be looking at sort of 2 times the shank length is what I would recommend. From there folks, going to add on top of this a yellow crystal flash, just 1 strand, and then going to fold it back on itself to create 2. If you don't have yellow, just use the standard pearl, absolutely fine, no issues with that at all. And from there folks, you're going to look to wind forward, nice tight turns, catching in all these materials. Try and keep it on top as far as possible, and obviously trim away your crystal flash if it's too long. But yeah, start to bring this forward, keep everything on the top, chop away anything that's been a bit mischievous that you don't need. But yeah, keep this nice and even as you come up the body. And when you get to the front, you want a nice tapered cut here, so scissors at an angle, taper this down, and then tidy up and trim away any corners that you don't need on this. You want a nice tapered flat front to this to tie in your other materials when you get there. So when you're done tidying up the front, come back down to about the halfway mark and you're going to catch in a large gold holographic tinsel. This is going to form the back section of the body for half of the body, and then wind this down to where it meets the tag. Once you've secured the tinsel at the back, bring the thread back up to the halfway point, nice touch and turns, and then you can bring your tinsel up the body. Nice tight turns, nice and tight up against the tag at the back. As you can see, I'm just checking that it's nice and flush up against it, no black showing through. Nice overlapping turns, and yeah, bring this up to about the halfway point and catch it in. Okay folks, having caught in the first part of the body, you can bring up your wire. Looking at 3 turns is what I would recommend at this point. Nice spacing, try and keep them even. And once you brought it up to the halfway point, you can catch this in as well. Nice and firm catch in. You can either try and bend and break away or utilise your scissors to catch this in. Obviously don't use your best scissors. Okay folks, I've been taking away your wire. Then I'm going to come in with, this is a red Brahma rooster hackle. Red will work fine if you don't have this, no problem at all. Catch it in by the tip, well caught in. As you can see, I've left a good bit of stem here that I've cut down want this to be absolutely secure. And chop that away once you've caught in enough of it, not a problem at all. And then you're going to be looking for, again, depending on the fibre as always, I'm going to say 2 to 3 turns. Just run the scissors down this to help it fold and turn. Yeah, you want this nice and neat, nice and flush up against that gold body at the back. So stroking this back as you come round. If you need to go back, no problem at all. Keep this nice and tight, as you can see that I'm doing here. And when you've got enough of the fibre on, create a space and catch this in and chop away the excess when you're ready to do so. Okay folks, having tidied up any unruly fibres, bring your thread back to the front. Going to come back in with the gold wire at this point, and maybe about 2 or 3 turns away from the hackle, stop. And what you're going to look to do is come in with the second part of the body, which is a red uni floss, and catch this on the side. Once you've got this on the side, you can continue to wind all the way down, nice and flush up against that middle hackle. From there folks, you can tidy up any bits you need to tidy up and look to bring the red floss forward. Again, can't stress enough, really nice and tight up against that red hackle. You don't want any spaces between the hackle and the floss. Bring your thread as far forward as you need to, allowing yourself some space at the front to tie in the next round of hackles, etc. So catching the red floss at the front with a good couple of turns and chopping away the excess, then come up with your gold rib. Looking at 2 turns here, again try to avoid fighting with the middle hackle, it happens sometimes. 2 nice turns and then lock this in at the front, and similar to as you did before, either tie this in nice and tight, bend and break away, or use your scissors to chop this away and tidy up. Okay folks, so at this stage we're going to come in with some red and black Arctic fox, definitely more red than black. Just making sure we've got the right proportions, and I've already combed out any underfur. I would encourage you to do so. Just measuring up where I want this, and going to chop this to a length off camera to create a nice catching point, post and some wax to the thread. And just looking to catch this in nice and tight, but keeping the front of the fly and the eye space nice and clean. So having caught in the Arctic fox with a couple of turns, going to come in with 1 strand of Krinkle mirror flash, and similar to before, just going to fold this back on itself. So a couple of turns down, fold it back, and then turn it around on itself to give you 2 strands, looking for a similar sort of length to the Arctic fox at this point. And then to add a little bit of security to your wing, just adding a little bit of super glue to the thread. Varnish will work as well, and getting a couple of turns in, tidying up the front and locking all of these fibres in. Okay, so we're on the home straight here folks. Last fibre to go in is a reasonable sized black Chinese cock hackle, just catching this in by the tip. Couple of turns and then folding it back, extra security, stop it pulling out. As always, well waxed thread will do you no harm here. Chop away the tip, and then when you're ready to do so, you can start to bring your turns in with the cock hackle. Fold the hackle back as much as possible on itself, and as always, it's down to you how much of a fibre you need at this point. But certainly looking at 2 to 3 turns, potentially even 4, depending on what you've got. And again, when you're ready to do so, create a space, with the stem side, pull it away a little bit and catch this in with a good few turns, and that will lock this nicely into space. If you are able to do so, fold this back on itself, get a few turns in. That extra bit of security won't do you any harm. And then once you've got this nicely locked in, you can chop away your excess. From here, just getting a bit of wax on the thread and just going to build a decent head for this fly. It doesn't need to be excessive, but you certainly want a good head on this. No jungle cock. If you want to add jungle cock, by all means feel free, but I'm not going to add it on at this point. But yeah, building up a decent size head. Once you're happy with your head, 3-4 turn whip finish won't do you any harm. Try not to catch in too much of the hackle fibre. Always an art form in its own right. And when you're happy with that, chop away your thread and you can apply some varnish and you're good to go. And there you have it, folks, the FSB fly. Fairly confident this will work most of the year. I'll certainly be giving it a go in spring and probably towards the back end. As always, if you enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, hit the bell, all that good stuff. Let me know what you think. Until next time, cheers.